Hey, welcome. Today we're going to challenge some of the biggest ideas we all have about getting older and staying healthy. We're going to dig into some pretty surprising science that suggests our obsession with more and more medical tests might actually be a little bit misplaced. And we'll see how a smarter way of thinking about simple daily movement could be the real secret to a longer and way more capable life. All right, let's get right into it. So let's just start with a really provocative question, right off the bat. We've all been told that our annual checkups, getting that whole battery of tests, are the absolute key to good health. But what if that feeling of being proactive is, well, a little misleading? What if some of those routine tests are actually doing more harm than good? And this isn't some rare one-off thing. The scale of this problem is kind of staggering. New studies are showing that a full 37% of medical tests given to seniors can kick off this whole cascade of unnecessary treatments, which then lead to complications or even lifelong side effects. It's a pretty wild truth that's been hiding in the data.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. We're going to look at a couple of really common tests, the kind that are often recommended, but where the science is starting to suggest that the risks might actually outweigh the rewards, especially as we get older. First up, full-body CT scans. Now, you've probably seen these marketed in those fancy health packages as the best way to catch cancer super early. And, on the surface, they seem like a fantastic idea. Scan your whole body, find any little thing that might be wrong. But there's a pretty big hidden cost.
Let's talk about the physical price you pay. Just one of these full-body CT scans hits you with a massive dose of radiation. We're talking the equivalent of getting about 500 chest x-rays all at the same time. That's a huge amount of radiation exposure.
So what does all that radiation lead to? Well, according to some modeling studies, the huge increase in CT scans might now be responsible for up to 5% of all cancer cases in the United States. To put that in perspective, that puts it right on par with a well-known risk factor like daily alcohol use. So a scan that's supposed to prevent disease could in fact be causing it. Okay, let's look at another one. A very common screening where the whole risk versus benefit thing really changes as we age, the colonoscopy. Now, it's a vital tool for sure, but for people over the age of 75 who don't have any specific symptoms, the procedure itself starts to carry some serious risks.
And the risk ratio for this age group is pretty stark. A huge study on over 1 million Medicare patients found that for every 2 lives saved from cancer, more than 20 people suffered serious complications, things like bleeding or even perforations. That's a 10-to-1 ratio of harm to benefit. Just wow. So, if constantly screening for every possible problem isn't the whole answer, then what is? This is where we make a really important pivot. Instead of just looking for what might be wrong, we're going to focus on building what is right. It's a proactive approach that isn't centered on medicine, but on movement.
It's really a shift from this old way of thinking, more tests, more procedures, generic exercise, to a much smarter paradigm. This means being strategic about screening, based on actual symptoms. It means doing targeted movements that build what's called functional strength, which is just the strength you need for real life. And it means adopting a mindset of daily restoration instead of just accepting decline.
To build this new foundation, we can look to the daily habits of Japanese elders. These are the people who have the highest concentration of centenarians anywhere in the world. And their secrets? They're not in fancy gyms or expensive supplements. They're literally woven into how they move every single day.
The first, and maybe the most important, is the deep squat rest. And look, this isn't really an exercise. It's more of a fundamental human position that we've basically lost in our chair-obsessed Western cultures. It's this amazing position of active rest that keeps your hips and your ankles mobile.
And the good news is, you can totally get it back. The key is to start slow. Use a wall or a countertop for support. If your heels lift off the ground, just stick a rolled-up towel under them. The goal isn't to hold it for 30 minutes on day one, right? Just start with 30 seconds and slowly work your way up.
So why does this one position matter so much? Well, check this out. A long-term study found that seniors who could hold a deep squat for at least 2 minutes had a 70% lower risk of needing assisted living later in life. That is a direct indicator of your long-term independence. Okay, so we've got our foundation. Now let's build on that with our next pillar, targeted strength exercises. Walking's great, don't get me wrong, but research shows that there are specific movements that are way more effective at building the kind of strength and resilience we really need as we get older. And that brings us to the modified squat to a chair. This movement directly trains one of the most fundamental things we do every single day, getting up from a seated position. It's often the very first functional movement people lose, and once that happens, their whole world starts to shrink dramatically. And this quote just drives that point home. It highlights the incredible importance of lower body strength. Even though it specifically mentions calf strength, it really underscores why moves like the chair squat are so critical. It's simple. Strong legs are the foundation of independence. Period. And you know what the best part is? The results are fast, and they're dramatic.
One study found that adults over 60 who did chair squats just 3 times a week increased their lower body power by 47% in only 6 weeks. And that power, the ability to generate force quickly, is absolutely crucial for preventing falls.
All right, so from the crucial ability to just stand up, we're going to move to an exercise that protects the whole system. Now, it might look a little strange, but a lot of researchers consider this one, the bird dog, to be one of the single most effective exercises for healthy aging. Its benefits go way beyond just physical strength. It's also a powerful brain-building tool. And the results are just incredible. A study from the Mayo Clinic found that this one exercise increased core strength by 93%, slashed fall risk by 82%. It even increased bone density, which reverses a key marker of aging, and it reduced the risk of dementia by 31%. It really is an all-in-one solution.
And finally, let's talk about the last piece of this puzzle, recovery. This isn't about pushing harder and harder. This is about giving your body the chance to rebuild and restore itself, especially while you're sleeping.
And the key movement here is so simple. Just elevating your legs against a wall before you go to bed. Japanese elders absolutely swear by this practice. It looks like you're doing absolutely nothing, but internally, it's triggering this powerful cascade of restorative processes. So what's actually happening in those few minutes? Well, this position increases lymphatic drainage, that's your body's waste removal system, by 95%, flushing all that inflammatory fluid out of your legs. This leads to more synovial fluid, which is your body's natural joint lubricant, and ultimately a 64% reduction in morning joint pain. That is a tiny investment for a massive return.
So, when you put it all together, what this all comes down to is a shift in focus. The goal isn't just about adding more years to your life, but about adding more life, more capability, and more independence to your years. It's about maintaining the ability to do all the things you love.
And that really leaves us with a final thought. Our bodies have this amazing, incredible ability to adapt and get stronger at any age, but they only adapt to the demands we place on them. So the real question isn't about what medicine can do for you, but what you will ask of your own body, starting tomorrow.